व्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन यमुना तीरावनचारी यमुना यमुना तीरावनचारी यमुना जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा जय राधा माधव राधा माधव राधे जय पंचतत्व जय पंचतत्व पंचतत्व जय पंचतत्व जय प्रह्लाद नरसिंह जय प्रह्लाद नरसिंह प्रह्लाद नरसिंह जय प्रह्लाद नरसिंह जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय गुरुदेव 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 श्री श्री राधा माधवाष्ट सखी वृंद श्रीमन महाप्रभु की जय। श्री श्री पंचतत्व की जय। श्री प्रह्लाद नरसिंहदेव भगवान की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। So reading from first canto, chapter 9, shloka number 44. sampadyamānam ājñāya bhīṣmam brahmaṇi niṣkale sarve babhūvus tūṣṇīṁ vayāṁsīva dinātyaye sampadyamānam ājñāya bhīṣmam brahmaṇi niṣkale sarve babhūvus tūṣṇīṁ vayāṁsīva dinātyaye sampadyamānam ājñāya bhīṣmam brahmaṇi niṣkale sarve babhūvus tūṣṇīṁ vayāṁsīva dinātyaye. Matajis. Sampadyamānam, having merged into ājñāya, after knowing this, bhīṣmam, about Śrī Bhīṣmadeva, brahmaṇi, into the Supreme Absolute, niṣkale, unlimited, sarve, all present, babhūvuḥ, te, all of them became, tūṣṇīṁ, silent, vayāṁsīva, like birds, dina-atyaye, at the end of the day. Translation and Purport by Śrīla Prabhupada. Knowing that Bhīṣmadeva had merged into the unlimited eternity of the Absolute, Supreme Absolute, all present there became silent like the birds at the end of the day. Purport. To enter into or to become merged into the unlimited eternity of the Supreme Absolute means to enter the original home of the living being. The living being are all component parts and parcels of the Absolute Personality of Godhead. Therefore, they are eternally related with Him as the servitor and the served. The Lord is served by all His parts and parcels, as the complete machine is served by its parts and parcels. Any part of the machine removed from the whole is no longer important. Similarly, any part and parcel of the Absolute detached from the service of the Lord is useless. The living being who are in the material world are all disintegrated parts and parcels of the Supreme Whole, and they are no longer as important as the original parts and parcels. There are, however, more integrated living beings who are eternally liberated. The material energy of the Lord, called Durgā-śakti, or the superintendent of the prison house, takes charge of the disintegrated parts and parcels, and thus they undergo a conditioned life under the laws of material nature. When the living being becomes conscious of this fact, he tries to go back home, back to Godhead. And thus the spiritual urge of the living being begins. This spiritual urge is called brahma-jijñāsā, or inquiry about Brahman. Principally, this brahma-jijñāsā is successful by knowledge, renunciation, and devotional service to the Lord. Jnana, or knowledge, means knowledge of everything of Brahman, the Supreme. Renunciation means detachment of material affection, and devotional service is the revival by practice of the original position of the living being. The successful living being who are eligible to enter into the realm of the Absolute are called the Jnanis, the Yogis, and the Bhaktas. The Jnanis and Yogis enter into the impersonal rays of the Supreme, but the Bhaktas enter into the spiritual planet known as Vaikunthas. In these spiritual planets, the Supreme Lord as Narayana predominates, and healthy, unconditioned living beings live there by rendering loving service to the Lord in the capacity of servant, friend, parents, and fiancé. There, the unconditioned living being enjoys life in full freedom with the Lord, whereas the impersonalist, Jnanis and Yogis enter into the impersonal glowing effulgence of the Vaikuntha planets. The Vaikuntha planets are all self-illuminating like the sun, and the rays of the Vaikuntha planets are called the Brahma-jyoti. The Brahma-jyoti is spread unlimitedly, and the material world is but a covered portion of an insignificant part of the same Brahma-jyoti. This covering is temporary, and therefore it is a sort of illusion. Bhīṣmadeva, as a pure devotee of the Lord, entered the spiritual realm in one of the Vaikuntha planets, where the Lord in his eternal form of Parthasarathi predominates over the unconditioned living beings who are constantly engaged in the service of the Lord. The love and affection which bind the Lord and devotee are exhibited in the case of Bhīṣmadeva. Bhīṣmadeva never forgot the Lord in his transcendental feature as the Parthasarathi, and the Lord was present personally before Bhīṣmadeva while he was passing to the transcendental world. That is the highest perfection of life. Om Ajnānatimirandhasya Jnānāñjana-śalākaya Chakshōranmilitam Yena Tasmai Śrī Gurave Namaha. Śrī Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhūtale Swayam Rūpa Kada Mahyam Dadāti Swapadantikam. Vandeham Śrī Guro Śrī Yutāpadakamalam Śrī Guran Vaishnavāṁscha Śrī Rūpam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dīnabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Taptakanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhano Sate Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Paritanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Hare Krishna. So this particular verse, very difficult to speak about, because it's dealing with the departure of a very great Vaishnava. In his whole life, he has performed varieties of devotional service, and he has attained, as Srila Prabhupada calls it, the ultimate, the highest perfection of life. If let's go, to on the side of Bhīṣmadeva at the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Right? He's lying down on the bed of arrows with Krishna, Pandavas, all the well-wishers there. Maharaj Yudhishthira, just few shlokas ahead, was in grief. Why? Because of me, because of my desire of having a kingdom. Hundreds of thousands of people have died. And among those hundreds of thousands of people, there is my grandfather lying down in front of me, on a bed of arrows, having a pillow of arrows. Right? He's hanging above the ground. The body is not on the flat surface. Difficult. Right? Because of his lie, his guru was killed. Because of not being able to protect his son, Abhimanyu was killed by 7 Maharathis single-handedly after he had no weapons left to fight. So he is going through a lot of stress in his mind, a lot of difficult situations. A person may even think, why am I alive after being the cause of such a massacre? Right? So he is in a very, very bad situation. And Krishna, knowing this very well, he is trying to comfort him. He cannot. The Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot. So what he does is, let's go. We'll talk to Bhīṣmadeva. Now, lying down on a bed of arrows, when he actually fell down, Mahabharata explains, when Bhīṣmadeva fell off from his chariot onto the ground, hanging, right, like that, hanging. It says there was not 2 finger space left between 2 arrows. That was that close. Hundreds of arrows in Bhīṣmadeva's entire body. He's hanging off. And what is he doing? His whole life, he lived in a very, very political situation. Very, very political. When he was born, he was drowned in the river, studied under the care of Brihaspati, Parashuram, the sun god. Came back as soon as he came, when he was born, separated from the father. When he got his father, got separated from the mother. Grew up a little elder, figured out he's not going to become the king. Right? So now he's taking care of his younger brothers. The first one dies in a fight. The second one dies because of enjoying too much. He's again told to become a king, cannot become a king. So he requests Vyasadeva to come have children with the wives of Vichitravirya, his younger brother. Dhritarashtra is born blind. Pandu Maharaj is born pale. Vidura is born from a Shudra. Not a perfect situation in life. Right? And then Dhritarashtra gives birth to 100 Kauravas. Great. Among whom Duryodhana is constantly harassing. But throughout this whole lifetime, he never forgot Krishna. Doesn't matter what life he went through, he never gave up on Krishna. And when he is lying down on the bed of arrows, he's constantly meditating on Krishna, on the form of Parthasarathi. That's the best memory of his life. When Krishna is there driving the chariot of Arjuna, having a whip in his hand and a rope in the other. That's the best, picture of his life. He dies meditating on this form of Krishna as Parthasarathi. Right? So in that situation, he is telling Yudhishthira Maharaj how he should become Krishna conscious. how he should maintain his Krishna consciousness. And then, looking at the beautiful form of the Lord, he departs. Just recently we have entered the Dakshinayana, when the sun starts traveling south. The whole battle of Kurukshetra happened when the sun was traveling south, in the month of December, after the Gita Jayanti. And that was the first day of Mahabharata war. It lasted 18 days. And then when he's lying down, when he fell down, there are all these different sages. They said, this is not possible. It cannot be. Like what? How can a great personality like this leave his body while the sun is still traveling south? He said, no, I'm not going to depart now. It's not the time for me yet. I'm going to wait till the sun starts traveling north again. Right? So on the day of Makara Sankranti, when the sun starts traveling north, in the presence of Krishna, he was waiting. And he has a benediction. He can leave his body whenever he wants. But he's waiting. He's waiting for Krishna to come. He knows Krishna will come. He's one of the 12 Mahajans. Krishna can't just leave him dying, on the bed of arrows. He will come. He waits for the right moment. And when Krishna is there, he has done his part of giving his knowledge to Maharaj Yudhishthira, and then he departs. In the shloka, it gives a very nice analogy. It says, everyone became silent like the birds at the end of the day. Bhīṣmadeva, the departure of Bhīṣmadeva is like an end of an era. Right? When he was there, he was like the glorious sun. When he was maintaining the kingdom, Mahabharata mentions how, all the different merchants, craftsmen, Brahmins, they all decided to leave their countries and come and settle down under the leadership of Bhīṣmadeva. Bhīṣmadeva was constantly surrounded by Brahmanas, Vaishnavas, who would always chant the glories of the Lord. So, very, very expert, Kshatriya, detached. So, this lifestyle, this is a way how all of us, should meditate how we want to depart from this world. Because doesn't matter what we try, we have to die. There is no question about it. We don't like it, but bad luck. We are all going to die. All our loved ones are going to die. It's the cruel reality of the material world. What is going to happen? Yesterday I was watching the Ramayana video where Dashrath Maharaj leaves his body. Right? And today I'm supposed to speak on Bhīṣmadeva departing his body. Vasishtha Muni explains, he says the body is made out of 5 elements. It has to merge into the 5 elements. The Vedic scriptures, they say the body has to be burnt. Why? Because the jiva is attached to the body. And as long there is body, he is attached. When there is no body, what can he do? He's forced to leave. He's forced. It's very, very cruel situation. We have lived with our, beloved people for years. Friends, relatives. Very, very dear people. We are attached to so many different things. And today one devotee, one pujari, he had to go to Haridaspur for preaching. He's going to stay there. There is so much attachment because he's been serving Radha Madhava. There's so much attachment to Radha Madhava, to Panchatattva. He's coming, he's paying obeisances. Right? He's meeting all the pujas, okay, give your blessings and like that. But there is a possibility he will come back. He will meet all these devotees again. But when you die, there is absolutely no question of meeting your loved ones again. And even if you do come, you come without a body, and your loved ones don't want to meet you again. Why? Because they are scared. They don't know how will the behavior be. So that is the situation. Gone. What comes with us? There's only one thing that comes back, that follows us. That is our Krishna consciousness. Think about it. You're lying down there and you're watching yourself dead from above or from a distance. Imagine that situation. Can you live with it? The body is dead. But as a jiva, will you be able to digest that my body is no more mine? I can't do anything. I'm helpless. We had a very, very minute experience in lockdown. Right? You want to go out, you can't. You have, you are there within your house. But within the house, there is many options to do. But when you die, there is absolutely no options. You can't do anything. All your people are there. It's a great shock. But a devotee like Bhīṣmadeva, he's prepared. Why? Because he has detached himself from the material, affections and attachments. And he knows Krishna is the only person who is a true friend, who is a true relative, who will always be with him. If we work it out, as Rupa Goswami says, yena kena prakarena manaha Krishne niveshayet. By any means, bring Krishna in your heart. By any means. Do anything. And what does Prahlad Maharaj says? Smartavya satatam Vishnu vismartavyo na jatuchit. Constantly remember Krishna. Constantly. Never forget him. Never. You're always remembering him, you can't forget. If you're always trying not to forget, you're always remembering. In every situation, think about how I can please Krishna. Prahlad Maharaj, he saw Krishna in a pillar. He said, is Krishna there in that pillar? Is your God there? Is Hari there? He said, yes, he's there. After Hiranyakashipu was dead, Prahlad Maharaj, he asked Narasimhadev, my dear Lord, why did you break the pillar and come out from the pillar? Why did you do that? In this time, why did you appear from the pillar? He said, because you said that yes, I am there in the pillar. To make your words come true, I appeared from the pillar. Pankajangri Prabhu was once mentioning that in Narasimha Puran there is one pastime where Narasimhadev appeared from the horizon. It said, first they saw the crown, from the horizon, the crown coming up. And then the mane, then the tilak, the eyebrows, the eyes of the lion, then the lion face, and then the whole Lord appears like that. The Krishna is there fulfilling the desires of every Vaishnava. Every Vaishnava. Anything you desire, Krishna fulfills. Sometimes he gives it a little late when you are ready for it. Sometimes he doesn't give. But then he purifies your desire, so your desire is fulfilled anyway. But in all situations, we have to become like this. Śrī Prabhupada gives an example of a machine. He says if some part inside the machine becomes useless, it's taken out, it's not part of the whole machine anymore, It's there lying down on, the screw is lying down on the floor. What's the value of the screw? Absolutely nothing. Right? Then you take that screw, maybe you need to varnish it, maybe you need to de-rust it, and then you fix it up again, and now the screw has a meaning. That's our position, Srila Prabhupada says. As long as we are connected to Krishna, we are useful. Otherwise, we are completely useless. Nobody wants to feel, left out or feel useless. When people start feeling they are useless, they go into depression. Oh, I can't do anything. Oh, it's completely worthless. And then they commit, stupid things. Go high on drugs, alcohol, or even worse, sometimes kill themselves. But there is a very simple solution to that, and Śrīla Prabhupada gives it. Attach yourself back to Krishna. In the beginning days of ISKCON, then not the beginning, but a few years ago, there was one Prabhupada disciple. They were saying that when a new person comes in, the president would see what is his qualification. If he's charming, he's attractive, his speech is nice, come on, you are going for becoming, you're the preacher, the book distributor, the top ranking people, the book distributors, the preachers, right? If you cannot do that, try becoming a cook. If you cannot do that, you are the, working, getting things together for the temple, like the runaround man for the temple. And if you can't even do that, become a pujari. The most useless person becomes a pujari. So what is done? He's put right into the service of Krishna. The most useless person puts right into the service of Krishna. You do this. And then serving the Lord, he becomes purified. So that's our situation. The useless. We are away from Krishna. We are detached from Krishna. We are looking away from Him. Useless. As soon as we see, here we are. Krishna, please engage us in your service as you like. As you like. Not like as I want to serve you. No, as you like. Then suddenly, we are so attractive. We are so important. Right? People start inviting you, Prabhu, there is Rath Yatra in our area, please come. And when you go there, they put garlands and, like, we would like to welcome such and such person. Wow, Haribol! You are the same useless fellow. Just you have decided to do some service for Krishna. In Gurukul, we had many boys. When I was a student, many boys. And then, sometimes they have to travel to their country for their visa purposes. Now in Gurukul, you are a total one among the, one face among the crowd. You are also doing, the cleaning, you are also doing the cooking, you are also doing deity worship, you are also, everything. Everybody does the same thing, so nothing special. Suddenly this child goes, this boys, they go to some European temple or, wherever they come from. Oh, he's coming from Mayapur, Gurukul. Oh, he knows how to lead kirtan. Oh, he also knows deity worship. He knows how to cook. He has a nice service attitude. Hari bol, this is the perfect person we want. And suddenly the boy thinks, wow, I'm such an important personality. Back in Gurukul, I'm no one. But look here, people actually understand me. My importance, my greatness. Over in Gurukul, nobody cares. So, better I stay here. Right? And then they say, oh, sorry, we can't come back to the Gurukul because no need for it. I know enough. And then he starts doing his service and everything like that. But he's half-baked. He's still kacha. So what happens? He becomes a face in the crowd over there. And he's no more special. And what happened? He lost this part and that part because now he's too old to come back to school. So now he starts working hard, trying to figure out what is his position in society. Because half-baked. He was there in the fire, right, of austerity, of knowledge, of renunciation. Then he comes out. He's no more in that heat. He's no more, in the austerity. He's now in his comfort zone. So then things starts to disappear slowly. Now he had to wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning, but everybody in the temple wakes up at 3:30. So why should I wake up at 2 now? I can wake up at 3:30. Right? Everybody in Gurukul, you had to, take bath in a hand pump, but here we have a geyser. So why should I bother taking bath with cold water? So all these things starts, and then it just becomes a normal person. That charm is lost. Why? Because it's no more, so connected to the Lord. Still connected, but not so much. So as long as we are there, the spark, when it leaves the fire, disappears somewhere. Nobody even cares about it. As long as it contains the potency of the fire, the spark is there, it looks attractive, and then as soon as that potency is lost, it's gone. Who cares about that black spot on the floor? No one. So that is our situation. As long as we are connected to Krishna, we are useful. And as soon as we are not, Srila Prabhupada says, he is useless. We should always think how we can connect. And what is, Durgā-śakti, what is her duty? That nail that has fallen on the floor, rusty, sharpen it up. Make it de-rustify, maybe give a paint, make it a little useful, and again attach it to Krishna. When we get kicked around by Maya, when we are going through like serious downs, remember we are getting polished. Because when we are fully ready, we can go back again and get attached and serve Krishna. Never feel disappointed. Because Krishna is always looking at us, constantly. The picture in Gita, the two birds, the one bird is looking, the one bird is eating. Krishna is always looking. Always. He's always there. And He's so much there that He stays with us as Paramatma in every single one of us. Who are we? 1/10,000th of the tip of a hair. That's what we are. That's how minute we are. But Krishna, He cares. That's why He's there with every single one of us. And not just human beings. He's there with every living entity in every species of life. Yeah. I was telling the smaller boys in Gurukul, I was showing them amoeba, right? Everybody knows what's an amoeba. It's a one-cell living entity. Krishna is there in that one cell. We, scientifically proven, we are, made up of many, many millions of cells. If Krishna is there in every cell, every atom, between every atom, can you imagine how many Krishnas is there in this body? How much does He care for us? So what is our duty for Him? Complete surrender. No questions asked. Krishna wants this, that will happen. Krishna doesn't want this, that will not happen. Complete surrender. When we are able to do like that, then we can die like Bhīṣmadeva. Completely detached, not worried about it. Because I'm more happy now. Before I had distractions of friends and families and relatives. I had distractions. Now, all those different distractions are gone. There is only one goal. That's Krishna. There is only one path. That is Krishna. So, very fast I can reach. Death is very cruel. But it is very cruel for those who are attached to the material world. It is a festival for someone who is not attached. They depart happily, gone. There is a saying. He said, a person should live his life in such a way that when he is born, he is crying and everybody else around him is laughing. Oh, look, so nice, so cute. But when he dies, everybody around is crying and he is laughing. That yes, I have done my part to the best of my capacity. I'm going back to Godhead. That's how it should be. Peaceful, ready. I'm about to go. Hari Bol. I don't want anything. I don't need anything. Recently we had our most beloved Pankajangri Prabhu left. It was almost more than a month now. Right? But I know many devotees, when they say, Jananivas Prabhu, Pankajangri Prabhu, it comes out naturally, automatically. Yeah, we're still suffering, we're still missing him. We feel his loss. Mayapur is not the same anymore. Many devotees in their memories with Pankajangri Prabhu, they were saying, and we have felt it personally. For me personally, Mayapur meant three people: Jayapataka Swami, Jananivas Prabhu, Pankajangri Prabhu. That's whole thing was Mayapur. And when Pankajangri Prabhu left, 1/3 of Mayapur left. And one devotee, when I was sharing with him the same thing, he said 1/3 of Mayapur went back to Godhead. I was like, wow, that sounds so much better. Right? But before he left, the one devotee was mentioning, before he left, 2 days before, there was a mask. He was having breathing difficulty. So there was a mask. So he couldn't speak. So he would write. So on a paper he wrote 2 days. And he showed, best of luck. Thumbs up. So the devotees around, they said, oh, in 2 days he's going to be good. Yeah, he was. Just not with us. 2 days. Happily. Left. Ready. Yeah, we have an example of Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj. He said, oh, the devotees are there on the battlefield right in the very front, preaching in America. America is the place where most of the cases happen in the world. Right? Me as a leader, how can I stay here? He left. As soon as he reached, coronavirus. And then they said what? Organ failure. Slowly all the organs gave up. And he left his body. They checked him. When he left his body, he was not corona positive. Strange. But if we actually open Gita, he left his body like a yogi. When he was there in ICU, they don't allow anything, but he had his kantimala with him. He had his Brahman thread on his body. He had his Japamala with him. He had Srimad Bhagavatam next to him. That's not called coma, it's called samadhi. Otherwise, how in America would they allow him in ICU to wear all those things? The doctor said organ failure. But Bhagavad Gita says when a yogi leaves his body, he takes away, the prana shakti from different parts of his body, from different parts of his limb. What is prana shakti? The thing that keeps the organ alive. When you retrace it back, in medical language, it's called organ failure. And then he leaves his body from the upper part of his body. That's what Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj did. Like a yogi. When it comes to us, how are we going to depart? And it can happen anytime. Anytime. Right now. Possible. Are we ready to die? Are we prepared? Most of the time, no. I remember I was a small child. My grandmother left her body. She was initiated by Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. So, the day she died, we hit the night, the whole family is, very sad, they are crying and everything like that. At night, my Guru Maharaj comes. We just came back from cremating her, maybe like 10 minutes, and we heard Guru Maharaj is coming. He came up to the room, he put his sannyas danda on the ground firmly, and he said, I am here to take your mother back home, back to Godhead. What a wonderful departure. She left her body chanting Hare Krishna. Throughout her life, she was constantly either making dresses for our deities at home, making ornaments, making flower garlands for the deities in the temple. Throughout her life. I never saw her sitting just in front of a television, doing nothing. No, constantly making something. Yeah. And my Guru Maharaj, when he came, he said, I'm here to take your mother back home, back to Godhead. What a wonderful departure. But that's why our devotional service, Srila Prabhupada says, when the living being becomes conscious of this fact, he tries to go back home, back to Godhead. And thus, the spiritual urge of the living being begins. When he thinks, how am I going to become a useful part of Krishna? That's when his spiritual urge begins. Then he becomes serious. This spiritual urge is called brahma-jijñāsā. Principally, this brahma-jijñāsā is successful by knowledge, renunciation, and devotional service. Knowledge and renunciation, they are the two children of devotional service, of Bhakti Devi. If you perform devotional service, automatically renunciation and knowledge will come. Automatically. And there are 9 processes of devotional service. 9. Right? One of them we are doing it right now. You are hearing, you are speaking. That makes us remember the Lord. Right? So 3 happening right now. Then we continue doing others. But we take on to this devotional process, knowledge and renunciation will automatically come. Chanakya Pandit, he says in one shloka, he says, Sukharti tajet vidyam. A person who is into enjoying, he gives up knowledge. Vidyarthi tyajet sukham. Those people who want knowledge, they have to give up pleasures, sense gratification. Why? Because yatra sukham tatra kuto vidyaha. When you are constantly thinking of enjoying, how can you be knowledgeable? In yatra vidya tatra kutaha sukham. If you are actually knowledgeable, how can you be happy in this material world? So when you are knowledgeable, you know what you want. You get true happiness. That is Krishna consciousness. So you become knowledgeable. And when you're knowledgeable, you automatically become renunciant. Detached. Because you know is not eternal. This will break any time. That's why a person must always perform devotional service. Prepared to die right now. Immediately, on the spot. Because it will happen like that. A moment, boom, gone, finished. The person was alive, now he's not. It's full of life to zero. Immediately. Within a moment. A moment is considered 1/16th part of a second. That's a moment. It's not even 1 second. No, that's too long. That's 1/16th part. How do we understand? It's a blink of an eye. That's a moment. It's gone. We are out. All our, hard-earned attachments gone. On the spot, finished. Everything for eternity. But at the same time, you as a jiva are fully conscious. You are aware of everything, but unable to do anything. Very, very cruel situation. But we must be prepared. Because it will happen. There is no way we can go around it. Not possible. For some of us quicker, for some of us later, but it will happen. That's why in Mahabharata, when Maharaj Yudhishthira was there, answering the questions of Dharmaraj on the bank of the pond, he said, what is the most strange thing? Because the living entity sees that everyone around him is dying, but he doesn't understand that he is going to die also. He thinks he will not. That's the most strange thing. Right? That's what's happening with us. And knowledge, how much knowledge? Knowledge of the absolute truth we need to get. Because otherwise we become jnanis or yogis. Not bhakta. So we go, we are on the path, and we are gone. We didn't reach the destination. Śrīla Prabhupada says, to enter into the Vaikuntha planets, right? Just detachment from the material world is not enough. Detachment from material world gets us all the way up to Brahma-jyoti, but doesn't allow us to enter Vaikuntha. To enter Vaikuntha, we must be attached to Krishna. When we are attached to Krishna, we can enter. So attachment to Krishna, detachment to the material world. That is the position. That's what we want. That is our goal. And Śrīla Prabhupada says a devotee, like Bhīṣmadeva, entered the spiritual realm in one of the Vaikuntha planets where the Lord is in his eternal form of Partha predominates. Can you imagine? It says the material creation is 1/4 of the spiritual creation. Whatever your desire is towards the Lord, you enter a planet like that. Bhīṣmadeva, he had the best picture of his life is Parthasarathi. He enters into the realm where the Lord is Parthasarathi. For 18 days, Krishna was driving the chariot of Arjuna. Imagine that 18 days for eternity. Krishna as the charioteer of Arjuna for eternity. What all wonderful things would go on? There must be many fights, maybe. Srila Prabhupada titled that picture, where Krishna is holding up the chariot wheel and running towards Bhīṣmadeva, and Bhīṣmadeva laid down his weapons and is welcoming the Lord. Srila Prabhupada titled it, Krishna pleases Bhīṣma. Bhīṣmadeva is pleased. Yes, come. I'm ready. Throw that wheel, finish my life off. I'm ready. He's a kshatriya. There's a lot of chivalry here. It doesn't mind wounding Krishna, because he did. He shot arrows into the body of his beloved Lord. He's a kshatriya. He's pleasing Krishna like that. A few shlokas ahead, it's mentioned. There's blood oozing out from his wound. Bhīṣmadeva is saying. But those of them who were present in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, because Krishna is present there, they all attained, their original form. Because Krishna is present there. Bhīṣmadeva doesn't mind shooting arrows at Krishna. What kind of, it's like, for me, it's difficult to understand. You're worshipable Lord, and you're shooting arrows at him. Why? Because the Lord has himself put into the position, and you as a devotee understand that Krishna will be pleased if I shoot him with the arrow. Gopis don't mind going to hell for unlimited lifetimes if by the dust of their feet Krishna is going to not have his headache anymore. They don't mind. So we can suffer, no problem. Let Krishna not suffer. Let Krishna not have a headache. I don't know what I'm going to feel, but Krishna is going to enjoy me shooting at him, so I'm going to shoot him. Kshatriya, chivalry. That's called Veera Rasa. It's a subordinate rasa. Veera, powerful. Right? Chivalry. Even in that rasa you can please Krishna by shooting arrows at him. And Bhīṣmadeva went into the planet where Krishna is there as Parthasarathi. Dhruva Maharaj said, I want to have a kingdom bigger than that of my grandfather, Lord Brahma. Krishna gave him. And it was such a wonderful way. It's part of the universe, but it's bigger than the universe. Dhruva Loka, the pole star. Right? Krishna sees what is your exact way, how you want to please him, and he's ready to be pleased in that way. And a devotee says, okay, I will please Krishna the way how he wants to be pleased. And for every one of us, there is something special in Krishna's heart. For every one of us. So we should not be afraid, ready to die any moment. Because Krishna will take care of us. And in order to have that realization, in order to have that conviction, we must live a whole lifetime as a devotee, serving the Lord in different rasas. Srila Prabhupada says, we are serving as a servant, friend, parents, or a fiancé. Can't find the exact sentence, but he says, we are serving. So that is our goal of life. And then, as Srila Prabhupada says in the last sentence, that is the highest perfection of life. We will achieve it. Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu. Is a mic somewhere? Anyway.
So I was saying, so we hear that Bhishma Pitamaha is one of the 12 Mahajans.
Sorry, I didn't understand. A little louder.
Bhīṣmadeva is considered one of the 12 Mahajans. I was wondering, how do particular devotees get assigned this particular moniker or epithet or whatever, 12 Mahajan? Because there are many devotees, at least from my perception, with a similar amount of devotion and just as much insight into the science of devotional service. So what makes these particular devotees so special, at least from the perspective of Krishna, that he identifies them as the 12 Mahajans and others as not?
Okay, so the question is, how does a devotee get assigned the position of a Mahajan? Because there may be so many other people who are on that level, but they are not assigned as Mahajan. In Srimad Bhagavatam, I can't remember who is mentioning. I think it's Yamaraj talking to the Yamadutas, and he is saying, I think it's Yamaraj who mentions that there are 12 personalities who understand Krishna completely, in and out. You know, they understand Bhagavatam 100%. Right? So there is also, I can't remember those names of those personalities also, but I think there are certain personalities like Vyasadeva. Even though he writes Bhagavatam, he may or may not understand it. Shukadev Goswami fully understands Bhagavatam. Yeah. Yes, that's Yamaraj is saying that shloka, right? Lord Shiva is saying. Yeah. So there are these personalities who understand Bhagavatam 100%. And some, like Vyasadeva, even though he wrote it, he may not fully understand it. So those people who 100% know Krishna in and out, they are the Mahajans. So there are 12. The positions are taken. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. The knowledge and renunciation, do we have to cultivate?
Prabhu, if you could speak a little louder, I think there is an echo and it's not understandable.
Do we have to cultivate knowledge and renunciation as part of our sadhana, or do they just automatically happen without any endeavor to cultivate knowledge and renunciation when we do bhakti?
Well, Srila Prabhupada gave us, the question is, do we have to learn renunciation and knowledge, or does it happen automatically just by performing devotional service? Well, Srila Prabhupada did give us the morning schedule, in the morning sadhana, in which all this is covered. To wake up at 3 every day, take bath with cold water, it's a renunciation. You can't do it without that. Then you have your sadhana, your devotional service, chanting your 16 rounds, Mangala Arati, taking darshan of the deities, and we have Srimad Bhagavatam class. So all these three are involved. But also the aspect is, Krishna says, Swayam eva spuratyadaha. When you are surrendered to Him, the knowledge rises within your heart. Right? Lord Brahma surrendered to Krishna, performed devotional service, tapasya, because that's the way of attaining Krishna in that time. So what Krishna did, within the heart, the knowledge came. So when you are fully surrendered to Krishna, knowledge will come. But at the same time, we are guided. We are taking the experience from the previous Vaishnavas, the Acharyas, the great personalities. So the process becomes even quicker.
So we cultivate knowledge and renunciation, and then through knowledge and renunciation, when we surrender, then the knowledge and renunciation are not so important anymore. They just become part of us. Just like you follow the rules naturally and you're not making an effort to cultivate them. But through Vaidhi sadhana, we have to cultivate knowledge and renunciation, and then we are able to surrender, then they are not important anymore. Because
I think they are important. Like the cultivation of devotion.
Important in the meaning cultivating it actively. That part doesn't become important.
I think they are interrelated with each other. Because for example, even among us, the devotees, there are people who are chanting, for 20, 30, 40 years. Some of them for 50 years they are chanting. But still lust, anger, greed has not left. Why? Is the chanting not working? No, it's there. But the problem is the knowledge and renunciation, they didn't allow it to, it's not up to the standard. So because the knowledge and renunciation is not up to the standard, even though you have chanted for 20, 30 years, there is something missing. And that's why you can't give up on lust, anger, greed, all those things. So that's why to have 100% package, you need knowledge, you need renunciation, you need devotional service. That's why Śrīla Prabhupada would emphasize so much, read my books. Everything is there in my books. So studying Śrīla Prabhupada's books is part of devotional service.
This point you made that with bhakti comes knowledge and renunciation. So this is the point I meant to say. Actually, when you become a devotee, they just become a part of you, and you actually renounce knowledge and renunciation. When you actually attain, when you are doing pure devotional service, you actually renounce knowledge and renunciation because you are naturally following the rules. Like you are not actually making an attempt to.
Prabhu wants to say something.
My understanding is that I think Prabhupada speaks about this. It's also there in the Nectar of Devotion, right? They're talking about Vaidhi sadhana and then Raganuga sadhana. So Prabhupada talks about the walking ability. The ability to walk is there within.
Speak little louder, Prabhu, please.
The ability to walk is already there within the child.
Yeah.
But through practice, that ability comes out. And then the child no longer has to make a conscious endeavor to walk anymore.
Right.
It becomes unconscious competence.
Right.
Basically, they don't have to think about it. But still they're walking.
Yes.
So it's not like they reject the knowledge and renunciation in this particular example. But the knowledge and renunciation that we reject is that which does not help us to develop our love for Krishna. But whatever knowledge and renunciation that helps us develop our love for Krishna, even the most advanced devotee will still embrace it. So I think the issue here is just the term renouncing knowledge and renunciation. You don't renounce it. It just does not become like there's no.
It's a second nature for you.
Second nature. So in that sense, when they say it becomes automatic, it means through the practice of devotional service it will come. But if you don't practice devotional service, it won't come. So there's some endeavor, and then once that endeavor is being perfected, then
Thank you. Thank you, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for your wonderful lecture. The question is regarding the question he asked about Mahajan. So
you have to speak a little louder, sorry.
The question he asked about Mahajan, what is the criteria?
Mahajan, yes.
What is the criteria for becoming a Mahajan? How he decided what should be the, who should be the Mahajan?
Right.
So at least in this question, the response you have given that those 12 people, they understood the Krishna in and out completely. But we heard in the Prabhupada's lecture that nobody can understand Krishna completely. Even Krishna cannot understand himself completely. So we heard this in the lecture of Srila Prabhupada. And second question is, if we go by the definition, who understand Krishna the most, then Radharani, according to Brihad Bhagavatam, she's the topmost devotee of Krishna. So she must be in the 12 Mahajan, I think.
Okay, we all understood the question? Huh? Can you repeat? So the question about the Mahajans, Srila Prabhupada said that nobody, I gave an answer that somebody who understands Krishna 100%, that person becomes a Mahajan. But Prabhupada said in one of the lectures that even Krishna himself doesn't understand him. Right? Because he is unlimited. There is nothing, it doesn't come to an end. And so even he cannot understand himself. And at the same time, if somebody does understand Krishna fully, that's Srimati Radharani. So she should be part of the section of Mahajans. Why is she not there, in the section of Mahajans? I have to think about it and ask different Vaishnavas to come up for this answer. We need some input from senior Vaishnavas. Well, the question about understanding Krishna 100% and Krishna not understanding himself, so there is no question of anybody else understanding. Well, even in our life here in the material world, there are people who understands us more than ourselves. Sometimes, let's say the mother, right? You may not know what's going wrong in your head and why are you upset, why, something is there, something is annoying. I don't know what's there, but your mother may know it. And she pins it out right there. That's the problem. Right? Krishna doesn't understand himself. That's why he becomes Mahaprabhu. He takes on to the mood of Srimati Radharani because she knows him the most. Right? So that's why he takes on to the mood of Srimati Radharani and comes as a devotee of the Krishna to understand Krishna. So that's why devotees understand Krishna more than Krishna understands himself. Yes, Prabhu.
Sorry, I don't want to hijack the whole Q&A, but I said I don't want to hijack the whole Q&A, but something came to me as you were answering that, so I wanted to add it.
Yes.
So it depends also on what our understanding of knowing someone means.
Yes.
If you understand the essential thing about someone, in that sense you know that person.
Yes.
Now the minute details may change.
True.
But the essential thing, and essentially what understanding Krishna means, it means you know what pleases Krishna, and that's pure devotional service. What displeases Krishna is material desires, basically selfishness. So if you understand that, ultimately, in one sense, you fully understand who Krishna is.
Yes.
Now the glories of Krishna is ability to build universes just by thinking and all that. Those are no longer important to you because you know what's the essential thing. So in that sense, Radharani knows Krishna fully because she's got a Mahabhav. She loves Krishna like more than anyone else. So I guess in that sense, you could say it like that. That's one. I don't know what you think, but
yeah, that's a very, very, very good point. And also, yeah, so when you understand the essentials, you know the person. The details change. Yeah, so that's why those devotees. And I think the another aspect is about the Mahajans. Even they understand Krishna 100%, and at the same time they are teaching about Krishna. Right? They are preaching. They are all of them. You take all the 12 Mahajans, they are all involved in preaching. Whereas Radharani, she is not involved in preaching. I may be wrong, but that's something that comes to mind. Srimati Radharani, forgive me if I have spoken something wrong. Yes, Prabhu.
I just want to add, these Mahajans, they are associated with the running of the universe. There are so many, exalted devotees like associates of Lord Chaitanya and Krishna's associates. They all understand Krishna, of course, but these Mahajans, they are, like you said, they are preaching and they are also associated with the running of the universe. That's why they are designated as, especially as Mahajans.
Yeah. Thank you.
My point is similar to that one. That's the point I was going to make. It's like any senior devotee can teach you,
Right.
but to make life easier for you, certain senior devotees have been designated officially as teachers within the community, so it's easier for you, so you don't have
Yes.
to go here and there. So Radharani is not so much involved with this kind of, like Prabhu said, running the material universe. But she's already teaching, so in that sense,
Yes.
she is a Mahajan, but the official title has not been given to her like that. That is my understanding.
And also Srimati Radharani is worshipable by all the Mahajans.
Yes, so she's higher than.
Sorry? I wouldn't put it like that she surpassed the category of a Mahajan. Mahajan is a category, and then we wouldn't do that. But, because all these Vaishnavas are very, very dear to the Lord. Right? Sometimes Krishna is there, giving more importance to Narada Muni. Right? When Radharani is there. Right? He's very, very dear. And to the extent that, Narada Muni goes and creates a fight between Radha and Krishna. Right? So, I am not qualified to, talk about that, the levels and, things like that. They are worshipable for us. And we know the Mahajans also worship Srimati Radharani. And yes, she is a devotee. Everybody else is serving her to please Krishna. So, if you talk about devotee, then that's Srimati Radharani. Everybody else is serving her. Everyone. Yeah. Okay. So we will end here. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bo.